Hey everybody, we'll be taking notes on our own today. It's hard for me to expect you to take notes if I'm not here to lecture it, and though lecturing in person is better because then we could have discussion and go down paths with the discussion that maybe we couldn't otherwise. For this purpose, I want to see how well we do on our own. It'll also help us get caught up because this section is kind of a long section. So we'll want to have our notebooks outlined in preparation for Cornell note-taking. And at the top, you'll have the date that you're transcribing these notes, and then Chapter 14, Section 2, the 30 Years' War. And the 30 Years' War was a war between religions, like so many of the other wars we've been talking about. However, as the other wars, this one also had political motivations as well. The war was fought in the German territories from 1618 to 1648. So, let's get a little understanding of what has happened in the Holy Roman Empire during that time. And you don't need to write this down, but let's go back to 1517. Catholic Church was extremely powerful. Many people believe that the Catholic Church was abusing that power. And then Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses, and he nailed them to the church door at the All Saints Church in Wittenberg, Germany. And that more or less started the Protestant Reformation. Martin Luther had different ideas about salvation than the Catholic Church did. He let them be known. After that, in 1521, we had the Diet of Worms. Martin Luther was excommunicated, declared an outlaw, and he was taken to the northern German territories where the first Protestant faith of Lutheranism was founded. That started the conflicts between the Lutherans and the Catholics, mostly in the Holy Roman Empire, until 1555, with a document and the signing of the Peace of Augsburg, in which the Catholic Church agreed to recognize the religion of Lutheranism and also allowed German leaders to choose which religion they wanted their people to practice. You could choose Lutheranism or you could choose Catholicism. But that didn't necessarily end all the conflicts. So the Holy Roman Empire, just to refresh our memory about that, we know that it's the political side of the Catholic Church. You can see on the map on the left-hand side there, they controlled a lot of territory. Many people in the Holy Roman Empire resented the fact that the Church was controlling so much land. Though they were weakened after the Protestant Reformation, they still controlled a lot of land and still had a decent amount of power, and they still tried to control that land, hold on to that power, and also exert their control over the people. This is a larger map, better demonstrating exactly where the Holy Roman Empire was centered. You can see it was part of the German Empire. A majority of the people were German. But you look at that little section over there, the Kingdom of Bohemia. That's important because that's where the 30 Years' War will begin, and a majority of it will be fought. Bohemia is present-day Czech Republic. Okay, so let's look at causes, and we're leading up to the year 1618. It started as a religious war between, of course, the Catholics and the Protestants. Ferdinand I becomes the King of Bohemia, and again, it's the modern-day Czech Republic. The major urban center of Bohemia was the city of Prague. Ferdinand was a strict Catholic, and he began to close Protestant churches, and he began to not allow new Protestant churches to be open. So if you're Protestant and you're living in Bohemia, you know what's going on. It's more or less he is trying to extinguish the Protestant faith in Bohemia. According to the Peace of Augsburg, though, he can choose which religion you are, but there's no more persecution. But remember, most of the people in Bohemia were Calvinist, not Lutheran. So Bohemian Calvinists worried about losing their religion, and they wanted to do something. And when you want to show your anger, what do? Sometimes I kick things, or I throw things, or I just laugh it off. But the Calvinists, they decided to storm into a meeting of Catholic Church officials and throw them out the window. And that was going to teach them a lesson. And that is an event, it really happened. That's an event called the Defenestration of Prague. The Defenestration of Prague was when Catholic Church officials had a meeting in the third floor of a building in downtown Prague. Calvinists knew this, stormed into the building, interrupted their meeting, grabbed the Catholic Church officials, and threw them out the window. They fell 70 feet, landed on a hay pile, and survived. The fact that they survived made the Catholics believe that God must like Catholics. You throw us out a window, survived. It was through God's grace, like in this picture, that led us to survive. So again, that event is known as the Defenestration of Prague. This is an artist's rendition of that event where the Calvinists were throwing the Catholics out the window. Is it funny? I can't help but to laugh every time I think of it. And the building of where that took place, that's still there. The third floor of that building in Prague. The 30 Years' War was probably going to happen. It was just a matter of what's going to be the spark that lights the fuse which starts the fighting. The Defenestration Prague was it. It was not the cause of the war, but it was when the Calvinists had had enough and the Catholics had had enough. Fighting raged on. Every single country in Europe got involved in the 30 Years' War. Not too many because of religious reasons, but mostly because of political reasons. Countries would enter the war because they thought there was some political gain they could get, siding with whichever religion they thought can, benefit them the most. Catholics, Protestants, didn't matter. What can I get politically out of this? 30 years of war in the general same area, that's going to cause a lot of population loss, a lot of livestock. This area's economy was devastated. Severe inflation, and that took place, and it was going on and on until the year 1648, 30 years after the war began, with a peace agreement called the Peace or Treaty of Westphalia. The Treaty of Westphalia was signed between the Catholics and the Protestants. It recognized the independent authority of over 300 German territories, meaning the Catholic Church cannot interfere in the political goings-ons of the German territories any longer. Every ruler can rule over their territory as they see fit. Catholic Church could not meddle in religious affairs any longer either. The Holy Roman Empire, the Catholic Church's control over this part of Europe, was essentially destroyed. The Catholic Church was severely weakened by the Peace of Westphalia. They reaffirmed the Peace of Augsburg. From 1555, we stand behind everything we said in the Peace of Augsburg, except we have to make one change. We have to add Calvinism. So this doesn't happen again. When we say Protestant faiths, we mean all Protestant faiths, not just Lutheranism. Northern Germany, they remained mostly Protestant. The South remained mostly Catholic. Geographically, not much has changed, except the Catholic Church had to take all their power out of the German territories. And also, the Calvinists demanded a safe homeland for themselves. That new country created by the Peace of Westphalia was, and still today is, called Switzerland. It was created as a homeland for the Calvinists. This is a picture of the Treaty of Westphalia, the ending of the 30 Years' War. In class, we will see a brief video on the 30 Years' War because I think it's pretty beneficial to see how this war was fought, the tactics they used, the tools they used, the immigrants that were forced to leave the German territories and migrate to other safe areas of Germany. And that's it. Again, you could read more about this if you haven't already in Section 2. This is the first of the 3 major conflicts we'll talk about in this section. And when you come to class, come with any questions regarding the 30 Years' War. We'll probably do a few activities regarding the 30 Years' War, and then we're moving on to the English Civil War.